Welcome to the second episode of Assault Rifle Basics. I'm your host, Perry Lloyd.
And I'm his co-host, Buck Tyrell. Now, I guess we're just going to jump right into it and start focusing on one of the most popular assault rifles in the known world.
That's right, Buck. We're going to talk about the AK-47. As a matter of fact, this episode will be a first of several about the AK-47. But why don't we just start out first with finding out how the AK-47 got its name?
Why not?
Except one thing before we go.
What?
Well, I like him better with a full beard, don't you?
Really?
Yeah. You think you ought to... Can you grow that back right now?
Right now?
Now, yeah.
All right. Mikhail T. Kalashnikov, a Soviet Tank Corps sergeant, designed the AK.
He designed the AK in 1947. It was called the Automat Kalashnikova, thus the designation AK-47.
The name contains information on who designed it and the year it was made. It actually didn't come into service until 1951. Now, the AK-47 has undergone a lot of revisions, but that's something we're going to have to talk about in future episodes. But before we jump in, I really want to explain to you who our experts are.
That's right. The first person you're going to meet is Alex J. Robinson. He's the manager of Robinson Armament Company. His company manufactures, assembles, and sells several different kinds of assault rifles, one of which we're going to showcase in a future episode. The man really knows his AK-47s.
You know, we'll also be talking to Sterling Morris. He's the manager of Impact Guns, and he's a smart man. He really knows his guns.
My name is Alex Robinson, and I would like to discuss the design and features of the AK-47 rifle. The AK-47 assault rifle was designed by Mikhail Kalashnikov in the 1940s. It is one of the most prolific firearms, or military firearms, found in the world today. It consists of a buttstock, which is either metal or plastic and may fold or may not fold, a pistol grip, a trigger guard, a safety selector, which has 3 positions: safe, full auto, and semi-auto, a magazine, which typically holds 30 rounds of ammunition. There are also 40 rounds and 75-round drum magazines and 100-round drum magazines. It has a bolt carrier with a charging handle, a rear sight, a gas tube, a barrel, a gas block, a front sight, and a muzzle brake or flash hider. On the right side of the rifle, you can see the sling attachment in the rear and in the front. Also, the button for this underfolding stock. And aside from that, there are not a lot of controls or mechanisms on the left side of the firearm. The firearm functions as follows. When the trigger is pulled, the hammer strikes a firing pin contained within the bolt, which you can't see. The firing pin hits the primer of the cartridge. There's an explosion which forces, as the powder burns, the bullet is pushed down the barrel of the firearm, and when it passes a certain hole, which you can't see in the gas block, gases are forced back through the gas block into the gas tube and force the piston, which is connected to the bolt carrier, to cycle the weapon. And it throws out an empty cartridge and loads a new one in. If the rifle's been put on semi-automatic, which is this setting here, the trigger must be pulled between each shot. If the firearm is put on full auto, the firearm will fire as long as the trigger is depressed, and when it's left, it will stop, or when it runs out of ammunition.
Now, we'd like to take a moment just to talk to you about the different modes of fire.
First, we'll talk about the differences between semi-automatic and full auto.
Now, semi-automatic, sometimes also known as just semi, is defined as when 1 round is fired for every trigger pull.
Notice when Sterling first starts to fire, it's in semi mode. Then he changes it to full auto. There's the switch.
Now Perry, he took his own semi-automatic rifle, an AR-15, out to a safe place to shoot. Here you see the action in slow motion. Notice the round is fired for every trigger pull.
Now, of course, if you want accuracy, you wouldn't fire your weapon like this. I wasn't even looking through the sights.
But sometimes you just have to do the Rambo thing and have fun wasting a bunch of ammunition.
Now, the gunshots were a lot louder than what you heard. I guess it's probably because of the cheap mic we had that day. But always remember, ear protection is a must.
Yeah, it did kind of sound like you were shooting caps out there. Huh?
I know.
But anyways, I kind of noticed that the AK that Alex was showing us had what they called wood furniture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see Sterling Morris show us a polymer version.
This one has a plastic polymer stock, plastic furniture throughout. You can get them in wood. You can get them in folding. Very effective weapon, very simple design. It will fire even when it is completely filthy. You can drop it in the mud, sand, whatever, and this gun will shoot. You can, throw it in the sand, mud, anything like that. The only thing you need to make sure is that the barrel is clear before you fire it. You can, I've heard of people taking it into water. As long as the barrel has been tipped down to let the water drain out, then the gun can be fired from that. If you leave it full of water and try to fire it, it's just like any other obstruction. You can blow up your gun.